All right, everyone, we are back, and I'm telling you that Bunnahabhain
It's good,
is
isn't it?
fantastic.
Do you know what Bunnahabhain means in Gaelic?
I don't.
Come on. You know, mouth of the river.
Mouth of the river. I would agree.
Mouth of the river, Bunnahabhain. But you had mentioned heavily peated. A couple quick little stories. During Prohibition, when Scotch wasn't allowed in the United States, and from our previous session, we talked about Campbelltown being sort of put out of business.
Yep.
There were 2 Scotches that were allowed into the United States during Prohibition. Can you guess what they were?
Well, I'm Bunnahabhain.
You'd be wrong.
Bruichladdich.
You'd be wrong.
Lagavulin?
Who's this guy?
Lagavulin.
Lagavulin
Lefroy.
and Lefroy.
Yeah.
Why do you think they were allowed into the United States?
I don't know.
They came in as medicine. They labeled the bottles as medicine. Somebody opened up the bottle of Lagavulin and Lefroy and went, "Yep, nobody wanted to drink this. This has to be medicinal."
You gotta be kidding me.
So they came into the United States. So what makes heavily peated Scotch heavily peated? And it's called phenols. And phenols, when you burn the peat underneath the barley to dry it, the phenols get imparted into the barley. And that barley then goes into the wash to make the beer.
Absolutely.
That's going to get distilled. And so most heavily peated Scotches, they'll run 65 to maybe 100, 120 parts per million.
Right.
But we've got the outlier. And we got a bottle of the outlier up there. And what might that be?
I'm gonna guess this.
Yeah.
Bruichladdich. Oh.
Bruichladdich makes 3 lines. One is the regular Bruichladdich that is aged in bourbon barrels, non-peated. Then they have Port Charlotte, which is peated Scotch, but peated to a reasonable human being's level.
Right.
And then they have the Octomore,
Which
and Octomore is advertised as the most heavily peated Scotch in the world. I think there's others trying to dethrone them.
right.
This particular bottle I got at the 2019 festival. It's called Event Horizon. It is, yeah.
So this is the bottle that the Event Horizon is even on secondary. It's just outrageous, isn't it, Bob?
It's in high demand.
Yeah.
Parts per million is 162.6.
That's a heavily peated.
Heavily peated, aged 12 years. We're not going to be drinking this tonight. But the other Islay Scotch that I'd like to mention is the last one down there.
Oh, the Black Art.
And it's also a Bruichladdich product. It's called the Black Art. And Black Art came from the mind of Jim McEwen, who was the master distiller who helped Bruichladdich reopen in the early 2000s. And he came up with this idea for the Black Art, which uses old casks of Bruichladdich that were in the warehouse under the prior ownership.
That's right.
And then he took them and blended them together, but he won't tell anybody exactly the makeup of it.
So we don't know. So it's a little.
We don't know. But what do we know about this?
It's extremely rare. It's very hard to get. And it is one of their most sought after bottles.
Is it good?
It's fantastic.
I think we should have a little bit here to tell the viewers what it's like. So
Oh my gosh.
please have a little.
Well, this is probably one of my favorites. Bob has been very generous to let us try a few Black Arts.
And what do you and I both say, and Kurt, what do we always say about Scotch? Meant to be shared.
Meant to be shared.
You don't drink it alone, you drink it with
And
friends.
this is fantastic. So this is 1992. This is edition 9.1. And I'm telling you, I would say this is the peak for me. For what I like and for everything that I've kind of looked after, this is probably one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's just too expensive to do as a daily drinker.
That's correct.
But certainly for special occasions like this show with our cameraman Kurt, and with you, it's something to share.
This is fantastic, Bob.
Good.
And we truly appreciate it.
You're welcome.
The black art is definitely something that you want to look for. It is absolutely just everything you think about when you talk about the art of Scotch and you talk about kind of the passion that goes into it. I really believe that this is the peak.
Boy, I'm glad you said that. To me, distilling Scotch, there is some science behind it, but there's more art behind it. And I think black art is really demonstrative of the art that goes into distilling Scotch. That something else that you can't do through a computer, you can't do through a formula,
No.
you have to do through sort of experience in your heart.
Your heart, absolutely.
And then it comes out to have something like this. So,
oh my goodness.
Solange, folks. Till next time, stay well.